Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Johnson, and I'm a 52-year-old male who suffered from chronic pelvic pain. Someone in one of the groups suggested that I come on here and do a video of my journey from 2 years ago up until now. But first and foremost, I'd like to give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without Him on this journey, it would be impossible for me to achieve. So, where did it start? Wow. Let's go back to my younger years. I started lifting weights. I was the one that would always hold my breath, not on purpose, but it was a habit. And anything that I would do, I was always catching myself holding my breath. And little did I know that that would be the cause of my chronic pelvic pain years later. I was always the guy who would ride bikes and land on my back and get up and brush it off like it was nothing. Those were my younger years. And you know, the body heals much quicker when you're younger. So as I got into my 20s, I noticed this severe lower back pain that I've never experienced before. Me and my mom, we were on our way to Louisiana on a Greyhound bus. And that was the first time that I ever had tears in my eyes, because I've never felt pain like that before. Not knowing what it was, all I knew that my back was beginning to hurt. And I remember taking aspirin and the pain subsided. Let's move forward. I'm 25 years old now. I'm beginning to urinate more often. Not connecting the dots, because I used to drink a lot of sodas. I used to be an alcoholic and whatnot. And the symptoms would go away. I would be like, oh, I gotta go urinate. And I would go and urinate. And I remember one day, around the same time, I began to have this testicular pain. I'm like, wow, what is this? But it went away. Within a couple of hours, it went away. It didn't come back. And I remember having that problem again a couple of years later. But then again, I'm saying to myself, this will go away. And eventually it went away in a couple of hours. Not knowing that this had anything to do with chronic pelvic pain. Some call it hypertonic pelvic floor. Some call it internal cystitis, Levitar-Ani syndrome, bladder pain, whatever you want to call it. It all relates to the pelvic floor area known as chronic pelvic pain. Whether it's chronic prostatitis or regular non-bacterial prostatitis, it's all related to the pelvic floor area. This is what I'm learning now. I wish I would have known that back then. Maybe I could have got it treated earlier. But when you don't know, you don't know. So here I'm now, 49, getting ready to turn 50. What a birthday present, right? I remember finding myself going to the bathroom more often than usual. And my wife told me, you know, you've been going to the bathroom a lot lately, urinating. And I brush it off, you know, like men do, we brush things off. There's nothing wrong, I'm okay. Now the psychological part began to play with my mind. And I remember saying the words, maybe I do pee a lot. Then the snowball effect began to happen. I found myself going to the bathroom, I kid you guys not, between 30 and 45 times a day with barely anything coming out. Not knowing that this had anything to do with my pelvic floor muscles tightening up on me. So I made an appointment to go see the doctor, and I told him, I got these symptoms, and I'm getting up and I'm finding myself going to the bathroom more often than not. Without them even examining me, they gave me Flomax. They say Flomax will help you urinate more. I said, okay, let me give it a try. 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by. Barely to no effect. The symptoms were still there. As a matter of fact, they're starting to increase more now. There's bladder on my pressure. And when I did go relieve myself, it seemed like it would fill right back up, not knowing that these muscles were in constant spasm at the time. So I made another appointment, and this time they prescribed me oxybutynin or oxybutynin, one of those weird names. They said this would help, and so I took it to little to no effect. So now I'm starting to get impatient, and I'm starting to worry, and I'm starting to stress myself out over this. And that's just the urinating part. Now, the next thing that I noticed was testicular pain. And I said, oh, I remember having this in my 20s, maybe it'll go away. But this time, it did not go away. It stayed with me for about a month and a half. And I wouldn't wish this on any male that's suffering from this. Out of all of the symptoms, the testicle pain is the worst, in my opinion. Even though they all are bad and those muscles are all tightly connected together, I believe that the testicular pain is the worst. So I made an appointment to see my urologist. It was a phone call, a video appointment. I did not see him. He did not examine me. And I was telling him, hey, man, I'm having this urinating problem, and now this testicular pain is beginning to give me problems as well. It's hard for me to sleep at night. I'm barely getting sleep because of the pain. And he began to tell me, you have prostatitis, and I'm going to give you antibiotics. And I remember him telling me, stop clenching your butt. I wasn't even aware of it at the time that I was clenching my buttocks. Through all of this time, now I'm starting to pay attention that my pelvic floor muscles down there are starting to clench up more, and now they won't even relax at all. So I took the antibiotics. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, nothing. As a matter of fact, the antibiotics made my testicle pain much worse than it already was, because I didn't have an infection. I didn't have bacteria. These were my muscles in constant spasm, now starting to cause a domino effect. And I remember going to the emergency room because I just couldn't take the pain anymore, guys. And you guys know about the pain. It's like days you wish you were either knocked out cold or just you would wish that the Lord would end your life. That's how I was feeling. Lord, if I have to deal with this pain every day for the rest of my life, just take my life. Excruciating pain. So here we are, me, my wife, and my daughter at the emergency room. I said, I'm having this excruciating pain down here in my testicles, and it's getting worse. The urologist gave me antibiotics, but they're not helping me any. So they tested me for pain. They tested me for cancer in the testicles. No cancer. The last thing the lady told me before I left was take the antibiotics. I said, okay. So I finished the bottle up. I'm stressed out now. My brain is like fly or fly. Or no, my brain was saying fight or flight. And I choose the flight option instead of fighting. Because I'm not knowing what's going on with me. The doctors can't explain what's going on with me. And when you tell people about your condition, they look at you like, what? Because I'm going to be honest, I thought only women had pelvic floor muscles or pelvic areas from childbirth and whatnot. But men can get it as well. Now I'm at my wit's end. There's pressure on my bladder. I'm getting this frequent urinating. And now I'm having anal pain because these muscles will not relax on their own. I was at work one day. I think I got maybe an hour and a half of sleep. I had to be at work at 4 a.m. I'm shot, guys. I'm shot. I'm losing weight. I'm having anxiety because I'm thinking there's something wrong with me, and the doctor said there's nothing wrong with you. Either I'm crazy or they are crazy. I told my supervisor I can't work. I have to go home. And he said, okay, I understand. And one of the guys saw me walking and said, man, why are you walking like a penguin? But little did he know, my testicles were hurting me that bad. And even when I went to go use the number 2, man, after all of that, the muscles would not relax, and it would have this intense, dull, aching pain down there that would last for hours, a day or two. And no one can seem to figure out what the issue is, not knowing that my pelvic floor muscles were not relaxing and they were in constant state of spasm, causing all of these issues. So now I have frequent urinating, testicle pain, lower back pain, anal pain, constipation. All of these things began to take effect on my body. It started with one. Now here we are with all of these symptoms. So I made an appointment this time in person to go see my urologist. So I get there, and I remember the nurse coming out saying, you're too early. He can't see you right now. And she looked at me like, you look terrible, poor guy. So by the grace of God, he was able to see me right then and there. I knew that it was God that allowed me to see this urologist right then and there, because I would have to wait. And I remember getting there early. And he looked at me like, what's wrong? I said, I'm having this pain all down here in my region. I'm having this pain. So he checked to see if I had, what do you call it? I can't think of it right now. Hernia, yes. He checked to see if I had a hernia. I didn't have a hernia. So he finally did an internal exam, and he said, you are suffering from levator ani syndrome. I said, what does that mean? He said, your muscles won't relax. I'm going to refer you to a special pelvic floor therapist. And here's where the mind, this is where you know that your mind plays a part of this as well. The symptoms began to subside for some reason, but they were still there, but my mind was distracted because I'm finna get treatment from the pelvic floor therapist. So your mind does play a part of this. It's like a Bluetooth. There's a disconnect between your Bluetooth and your muscles. And now I'm trying to reconnect my brain to my pelvic floor muscles, getting them to relax. No more flight. Now it's time to fight. He prescribed me Oxycontin, and there was another one for the pain. It helped, but the pain was still there. At a minimum, the pain was there. Here I am, 45%. At 45%. and it seemed like it's getting worse. So the time came a month later, I was able to see the pelvic floor specialist. And she was God sent. I'm telling you guys, by the grace of Jesus Christ, she understood everything. I told her everything that was going on with me. She said I had tight hips. I had bad posture. So she did the external examination first. And I went home and I did the exercises and whatnot. And the next time I went to go see her, she did the internal exam, trying to get those trigger points to release. And you talking about major flare-ups, that's part of physical therapy. You see, these muscles don't want to relax. She told me it's like a balled fist. If I hold my fist like this for so long, over time, it's going to stay like that. And when I try to relax this fist, it goes right back because the brain has trained it to flight instead of saying, relax. It's okay. 6 months in to the treatment, there's some sign of relief. But I'm still having the flare-ups and I'm still urinating a lot, and I realize that this is not going to be a quick process, that this is going to take time. I remember the pelvic floor therapist finally releasing me. But I've been doing it so long under her care that I've learned how to do this on my own now. So now I'm using the tools that she gave me on myself, if that makes sense. Because only I truly know where the trigger points are. So I'm doing all of this internal massaging on myself, 30 minutes to 40 minutes a day. And I remember one time I said I'm going to do this for 6 months. And I remember doing this for 6 months straight, guys. 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day. And I kid you not, one day I went to work and I had to urinate. Now I'm waiting for the pressure to build back up. There was no pain. There was no pressure. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, Jesus, is this for real? Because I'm so used to using it and having to go right back. Now I'm beginning to train my brain to tell my bladder it's a false alarm. You don't have to go every 30 minutes. So I'm going from 30 minutes, 45 times a day, to now 2 hours a day. And up to date, I might go 6 times out of the whole day. And I don't have to get up in the middle of the night anymore, unless I'm drinking too much caffeine and coffee. Because she told me to stop the caffeine. I did that. Stop drinking after 6 p.m. I did that. The trigger foods, I did all of that, but the symptoms were still there. I said, no, this can't be right. I stopped all of this for 6 months and I'm still having this. Come to find out, I was not relaxing my buttocks. That was the key culprit, because my brain had told me over all of these years to stay in safe mode, from riding the bicycle to landing on my back to weightlifting to holding my breath. That's what my brain taught my buttocks what to do. Stay tight. So here I am. 2 years later. I was 52 when it first happened. Here I am, 52 now. From 45% to 95%. Because I chose to fight and not fly anymore. People have different journeys. People have different stories. And I've learned that if you listen too many, or if you watch too many of the negative posts, you're going to stay in flight every time. there has to be success stories. And there are many out there. And I began to listen. I began to watch these success stories. And I began to feel better about myself. I remember listening to these podcasts, taking in all of this information from Dr. Wise to other people, getting advice, taking everything in, learning how to breathe and not hold my stomach in. I had to train myself all over again, people, how to do this, because this chronic disease is a beast. But this beast, like all beasts, can be tamed. Everyone has different opinions and different journeys. Some people find relief in muscle relaxers, which is true. Some people find relief in ice packs or heating pads, which is true. And from time to time, I might use an ice pack to numb those muscles down there. But I'm nowhere where I used to be, people. By the grace of Jesus Christ, I'm nowhere where I used to be. I'm back weightlifting. I'm back drinking coffee at times. Sometimes a little soda. Spicy foods don't bother me anymore. It was my brain that I had to let know, hey, we're going back to how it used to be. No more flying anymore. We're going to fight this. We're going to fight this thing, because the mind plays a major part in our body. Stress, anxiety, and worry will put it on your body, man. It will make symptoms worse. I went from 175 to 165 pounds. But I'm back to where I'm at now. By the grace of Jesus Christ, I'm back to where I'm at now. This is my success story. Some journeys are short. Some journeys take longer. I heard people using Botox. Some say they find relief, and some say it makes the symptoms worse, because these muscles are stubborn. When they're like this all the time and you doing this and it keeps going like that, those muscles are stubborn and they don't like to be messed with. They don't like to be poked at. They want to stay in a constant state of spasm. And that's what was happening to me. I wish I would have known this a long time ago. But here I am. I thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this testimony that the Lord has put in my heart. And I hope this encourages you guys, those that are just starting out with this nightmare, and for those that have been in this nightmare for a while now, like I have. There is success. It can be cured. I've heard of stories, and it can be tamed, like my story. 95% better. Sometimes I have symptoms at all. Sometimes I don't have any symptoms at all. So I'm gonna end with this. I love you guys with all of my heart. I'm praying for you guys, because unless people are going through this, they will never understand. And I wish this pain on anyone. I wish it on no one. Because chronic pain, whether it's pelvic muscles or any other chronic pain, it is pain that's 24/7. I love you guys. Take care.